This is the Shrimp Trawler video channel Strat-O-Matic Baseball Excel Game of the Week.
Welcome back, baseball fans, to the Game of the Week in the 77-80 Fall League. Today, the New York Mets and the Florida Marlins in the National League East. And let's take a look at the overall standings in the National League, because it's getting really tight near the end of the year here. And the wild card battle is sort of getting wild in a disappointing way, and that the teams who were the Giants had the 6th spot, but then they got swept by the Dodgers. Now they're out, and the Dodgers are out. So now we have the Padres, a game over 500 here, sitting at 6. But Arizona has not played yet, nor has Colorado. You figure one of those teams will win that division. The other one might be a wild card, but you still have 3 teams here in this division. And of course, the stars of the season, the Florida Marlins, who are actually winning the East, holding on to number 5. But if you notice, they're only 3 over 500 because they're playing the Mets in a best of 5. And it is the New York Mets playing spoiler, trying to knock the Marlins out of a playoff spot. So these wild cards, we could have a team with going to the wild card round, a game over 500 maybe. Let's see what's happened today with the Mets and Marlins. Game 1 in Shea Stadium, we have Craig Swann versus Dan Schatzeder running the first for the Marlins, and then a bad 4th inning for Schatzeder. Mets bat around, get 4 runs. It's the only inning they scored in. Schatzeder threw 6 other shutout innings. But Craig Swann and Jeff Reardon, the capable closer, made it hold up. Mets win 4-2, hurting the Marlins a little bit in their quest to win the National League East. Phillies rooting for the Mets. Game 2. Can the Marlins get a split in Game 2? And when we see the pitchers, Dennis Lamp, the top starter for Florida, against Jerry Koosman. The Mets support Koosman early with 4 runs. We got individual runs in the 4th and 5th. Marlins strand base runners. It's a really close game. Mets strand base runners. It's 4-3 Mets after 7. They pull Koosman after 7 instead of letting him go out there. They bring in Pat Zachary. What's he do? But gives up a solo homer to Hal McRae to tie the game. Gets out of that inning. Then in the bottom of the 8th, Bob Myrick comes in for the Marlins, and it is John Stearns. Catcher, first base, third base, DH, versatile, speedy catcher. He hits a solo homer, and the Mets reclaim the league. Unfortunately, that gives Jerry Koosman no decision. And the lefty setup guy, Buddy Schultz, gets the save. Zachary actually gets the win, of course, when you blow the save and your team comes back. So it's 2 wins for the Mets in 2 games, and that's why we see the standings as they are. Marlins were 16-11, just a half game back. And now it looks like the Phillies, all they have to do is win a game or 2, possibly, depending on what else happens in the rest of this series, against the Braves to hold on to the National League East. But before that happens, we have to play Game 3 and Game 4, if necessary, in Florida. Mets go to Miami to play the Marlins. And today's starting pitchers for the Mets, Gary Sarum, a guy they drafted out of a way of the Minnesota Twins system. Turns out that won't be a great move for the Mets. He doesn't have more than 1 or 2 years that are any good. So that was a mistake. But anyway, the Marlins will send Vern Rule out there, who actually is pretty good. Came out of the Houston system. think he pitches out from Detroit as well. Detroit and Houston. Does pretty well with his. This is his 78 card. He's got a good 80 card, and I think he continued into the early 80s. Gary Sarum, Vern Roll. Boy, you really got to be up on your baseball card collection. Remember these guys, folks. Late 70s, Mets, Marlins, from Florida. Let's get started. Leading off for the Mets, Lee Mazzilli. 38 is ball 4. The A's stealing Mazzilli. Pokeroba, plus 2 arm catcher. The Mets are going to be aggressive today and steal, and he steals a base. Pete Rose, acquired in the offseason in the Tom Seaver trade. He'll eventually move on to Philadelphia. Let's take a look at Rose's card before he bats. This is a 78 Pete Rose card. We mentioned we wanted a transition period between Cincinnati and Philadelphia, and also for the Mets to be compensated better for the loss of Tom Seaver, so a swap of Hall of Famers made sense. One interesting thing about this Rose card, 51 doubles. A lot of that's against left-handed pitching. So they'll have Rose for this year, possibly the next, before we move on to Philadelphia. The pitch to Pete Rose. 56 is ball 4. 2 on for Steve Henderson, the DH. 64, bouncer to short. This is Craig Reynolds, a 4 at shortstop. E33 gets a ground ball C. Second and third for Tim McCarver. Let's take a look at McCarver's card. You're wondering, why is this guy batting cleanup? And why is he batting? Yeah. Also acquired in that same trade. So McCarver, this is, oddly enough, another Philadelphia Philly card of 1977, where he hits 320 with all these power, with all these walks and plenty of power. Offensively, one of his best years since the beginning of his career. So these are 2 short-term gains in the Tom Seaver trade, Rose and McCarver, as Seaver will eventually win that trade by, as he's going to have at least 6-8 years with the Reds. So here is Tim McCarver with second and third and 1 out. 42 is a sac fly to right field. And Claudell Washington. 57 is ball 4. 2 on. Larval Blanks. 35 is a fly to left. They get a run. Lyman Bostock leads off of Florida. He walks. He's a base stealer. McCarver's catching. Can't throw at this point in his career. He's a +2. They're going to go for the big inning, though. Manny Mota. 1-9. Mota with a base hit in the right field. Bostock, 15 runner, will not challenge Youngblood. First and second, Willie Montanez. 48, skies the center. Pedro Guerrero, 211, flies to right. And Richie Hebner, 33, pops to third. You see this expansion Florida team that didn't exist during this timeline. Picked up various pieces out of different organizations, and when you cobble it all together, you got a pretty potent lineup. Bostock was a Twin, Mota a Dodger, Montanez with Texas, Guerrero with the Dodgers, Hebner with, I want to say, Pittsburgh maybe, or he was a Philly also. Hal McRae on the Royals, Craig Reynolds with Astros, Jeff Leonard Astros, Pokeroba with the Braves. So they cobbled together a nice little nucleus here. And it just turns out that they have some of their best cards in this timeline, including Manny Mota's 395 card. And that's why they're doing well. For a downtrodden franchise that doesn't do much in the summer league, as there's less talent available to pick and choose from. But they got a nice little team here in Florida. And they are the favorites in this series. So Beal will lead off in the second inning. 56 is a walk. Jerry Remy, 2-6, pops the first. Joel Youngblood, 69, pops the second. And Mazzilli, 56 is ball 4. 2 on, 2 outs for Pete Rose, and he grounds the first. Bottom of 2, Hal McRae, 2-9. Let's take a look at Hal McRae's card. We mentioned that Pete Rose had 51 doubles. Well, Hal McRae hit 54 doubles. 105 doubles from these two players. It would have been cool if they were on the same team. But 2-9, triple 1-6 double, and he gets one of those 54 doubles. Craig Reynolds. 57, a base hit in the center field. McRae, 14 runner. You got Mazzilli's terrible arm in center field. You always run when you can. And he scores. We're tied at 1. One flap down. Jeff Leonard, 46 Ks. Fifth, Pokoroba, 37's a walk. Lyman Bostock, 6'10". Off of Serum. Homer, 1-13 double. He's got power. It is gone. Lyman Bostock. Let's take a look at his card. Lyman Bostock, 77 card, 336. Third best batting average on the Twins that particular year, behind Glenn Adams and Rod Carew. My goodness. 3-run homer, and the Marlins have it going. 4-1. Manny Mota, 37. Let's take a look at this result, folks. 3-7, the dreaded single plus injury. Bat must have shattered, and he must have gotten like a little piece of sawdust in his eye. He can't see real well, so they're taking him out of the game. I don't know. So there you go. A base hit plus an injury to Mota. We have the Manny Mota rules anyway, which we do as to not let him play too much. We give him 3 plate appearances or 6 innings, whichever, before we pull him out. And then he has to play left field. And he can't DH this guy, so that gives the opposition a little advantage as well. But when he does come out, regardless of what inning it is, he gets replaced with Juan Benitez, who is a 1 in the outfield. So it's really a win-win for the Marlins. So Benitez is now the pinch runner at first base for Mota after the injury. Still with just 1 out and 4 runs in. And Benitez is an ace stealer, and he's going to try and steal a base. And he steals second on the 3, and he most likely gets the T rating on McCarver. So Benitez put a stolen base there, put an error as a reminder there. And Juan Benitez is sitting on third base with 1 out for Willie Montanez. The pitch to Willie. 1-9, let's take a look at him. Get to know these Marlins, folks, because you'll probably see him in the postseason. Willie Montanez, my goodness. And you're like, how did Florida acquire all this talent? Well, it took an entire decade, but they finally put it all together here. Montanez, .319 hitter in a split season of 1979 with the Rangers and I think the Rangers and the Phillies, I want to say. I can't remember the other team he played for in 79. Anyway, here's a single to center. That scores Benitez. Still with 1 out, Pedro Guerrero. 2-8 is single 1, line out. Oh! Let's take a look at the Pedro Guerrero card. This ridiculous card from 1980, his rookie year. They brought him up. Didn't know where to play him. Plays everywhere besides shortstop. And destroys lefties. The infamous 2-2 card, as the 1980 National League Strat-O-Matic set, they redistributed the templates into weird places on teams, and you see Guerrero with a 2-2 card, and he was the best hitter on the team with a .322 average. So he rolls 2-8, single 1, line out, and he gets the 1. And you're starting to see some of that Marlins magic that has got him this far in the season, finally taking hold. First and second, still 1 out, Richie Hebner. 38, Hebner, let's take a look. Richie Hebner, 3-8, single to center field. He could play first, third, and even a little bit of second base. He's with the Phillies after starting his career with the Pirates. And then the Phillies had some guy named Mike Schmidt playing third base, and they decided to find somebody else to play first base. By 1979, that guy's name will be Pete Rose, of course. But the Marlins got Hebner. 3-8 is a single to center field. Montanez with 1 out. Does he try and score off of the Mazzilli arm? It's 11 plus 3 is 1-14. He's going to try and run. And he scores on the 14. Exactly on Mazzilli's arm of +3. You're starting to see a little bit why the Mets are in last place. They have some pretty unusual combination of players and defensive liabilities and so forth, and they're also missing number 41 out of their rotation. So Guerrero will hold at second on the hit. He's at second, Hebner's at first, they bat around, and it's Hal McRae again who started this inning with a double. 2-10, we saw the card. He's hit the triple 1-6 double in this inning, and now 2-10, homer 1-17. It is gone. A 3-run homer. And, oh my goodness, folks. The Marlins did not like losing 2 straight in Shea Stadium, and it's 9-1. And Gary Serum, I'm sure he's broken by now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We'll let him finish the 3rd inning broken. Or the 2nd inning broken. We might have to have him pitch a 3rd inning to save the bullpen. So here's Craig Reynolds, 111, pops to short. And Jeff Leonard, 1-9, grounds to short. We got a blowout in the game of the week by the Marlins. A proud team, taking a lot of abuse earlier in this decade. And they are not going to be denied a playoff appearance. Steve Henderson leads off in the 3rd. 54, pops to first. Tim McCarver, 2-3, grounds to 3rd. Claude Washington, 1-5 is a single. Larvell Blanks, 2-4, grounds to short. All right, Serum, he'll be broken. He pitched the 3rd to conserve the bullpen. Pocoroba, 69, triple 1-13 double is a triple. Bostock, playing back, 38, grounds to first, won't score the run. Benitez got to play up for the A-bunter. 4-10, 3rd X. Rose a 3E17 at 3rd base. And he boots that ball. Oh boy. It's getting ugly here in Florida. Montanez with 1 out and a man at first. 2-9, 5-4, 3 double play. So Serum helps his team a little bit in that inning as we delay the inevitable relief pitcher parade in a 10-1 game in the 4th. Bob Beal leads it off. 1-8 is a walk. Jerry Ginremy, 2-3, pops to first. Joel Youngblood, 46, is a base hit. 2 on for Lee Mazzilli, 47. Base hit off a rule to center field. Beal will hold as all the Marlin outfielders can throw. Boy, can they. -3 arm for Benitez, -3 for Leonard. So they're going to play back for Pete Rose by any other name. 48 off a rule was a clean single to left, and here come the Mets. Beal scores. Youngblood. 14 will not run against the outfield arm, and you're down 9. 10-2. Bases reloaded for Steve Henderson with 1 out. 2-9. Steve Henderson, let's take a look at his card. Perfectly suited to be designated hitter for a team like this in this era. So you don't have to expose him to the woes of defense. So 2-9 is a base hit into center field. Now Rose, he won't run against the -3 arm. Even Pete realizes that what's on the line here as they try and get a mount to come back. It's 10-3, still with just 1 out, and Tim McCarver. The pitch to McCarver. 69 off rule. Skies a shallow center that will not score a run. And we'll need a big at-bat here like Claudell Washington to make a game out of this. The pitch to Claudell Washington. 3-10, rolls to second, and the Mets leave him loaded, and it's still just 10-3. Oh well. So, we will begin the Met parade from the bullpen with Dave Hamilton. Will come on in the 4th inning. And he is a relief 3-5, so he chew up some work here. To face Pedro Guerrero, who destroys left-handed pitching. But anyway, 5-12, bounces to second. Ginremy's a 2E21, and he makes the play. Hebner will stay at 3rd base, 2-9, grounds first. And Hal McRae having a big day with a double and a homer. 66 is a fly to left. 10-3 in the 5th. Larvell Blanks will lead it off. 39, grounds to short. Bob Beal, 1-7 is a K. And Jerry Ginremy, 56 is a walk. And Joel Youngblood with 2 outs, 63. Pitcher X E0. That is your... Don't roll E0s for home teams. Another home field advantage I do. So you can't get the hit on 1 or 2 or a ground ball C. It's double play. For only E0s for home teams, not road teams. Road teams I still roll. Speaking of that, Dave Hamilton is an E0 if that were to come up. And here's Craig Reynolds. 49, single to center. Jeff Leonard. 45, double 1 to 10, double. Here come your Marlins again. Second and third, Poke Garuba. They'll play back. 2-6 is a base hit into right field. Jeff Leonard, 16 runner. Youngblood -2 arm. He's going to run because he's Jeff Leonard. And he does what he likes to do, and he scores. A 2-run single. We got a 12-3 game. Oh boy. Lyman Bostock. 2-8 is a 4-6-3 double play. This Pokeroba's not being held. And with 2 outs, it is Beniquez. 47, ball 4. He will not run in a 12-3 game for Montanez. 2-4, second. Well, after getting a couple runs in the 4th, the Marlins also get a couple runs. We're right back where we were in the blowout. 12-3 Marlins in the 6th. Rule will probably give you one more inning before he turns it over. Lee Mazzilli, 56 is a walk. The Achilles heel of Rule, the walks. Too many of them. Pete Rose, 57, another one. That's a little ridiculous. With a 12-3 lead, you walk the first 2 batters. He's qualified for a win. Another base runner gets on. If Henderson gets on, we're going to hook him. 59, center C. And with a couple lefties coming up, that'll be it. 5 1/3 for Vern Rule. And we'll go with Bob Myrick in the 7th inning, a lefty. In the 6th inning, excuse me. He will face McCarver. Myrick, you see, is better against righties than lefties, so McCarver, who can hit lefties fine, will stick around with runners at first and second and 1 out. McCarver, 37, is a K. That's a walk against a righty, so that move worked. And Claude Washington, he will bat. He hits lefties fine. 54, pops to second base. So Myrick eliminates that threat. Dave Hamilton will go for a 3rd inning of relief here against Pedro Guerrero. 36 is a K. Hebner, 67 is a K. Al McRae, 112, bounces to short. I think we'll make one defensive replacement of Myrick Guerrero, who plays second base. He'll come in for the DH, and the new DH will be Pedro Guerrero. Okay, 12-3 in the 7th inning. Myrick against Larvell Blanks in the 7th. 63, pitcher X is an E0. Bob Beal, 1-2, grounds to short. And Jerry Ginremy, 66, is a sky to right. Nice little couple innings of relief there for Myrick in a 12-3 game. Stretch time in Florida. We have been listening to, I believe it's pronounced Estoy Comonoca, but don't trust me with that. Iliad Choa. Had the great pleasure of watching him perform with Afro-Cubism back in 2014. Musicians from Cuba and Mali getting together. Great performance. This is a solo record of his work. Beautiful stuff here. From Florida, from Miami, Dade County and all that. We have Dave Hamilton will come out. He delivered 3 nice innings. They will go to Pat Zachary. He still ended up going to the Mets in the receiver trade, but we gave the Mets a little bit more than that, much more than that, to create some semblance of balance in that infamous trade. Craig Reynolds will lead off against Pat Zachary. 66, double 1 to 6 is a double. Jeff Leonard, 212, short. Poke Garoba, 47 is a K. He will leave for Bo Diaz to play the rest of the game. And Lyman Bostock, 2-3, grounds to third. All right, Myrick will leave in the 8th inning with a huge lead. The team that has Manny Mota also has Pedro Bourbon. So theoretically, much like in the movie Airplane, I could say batting for Pedro Bourbon, Manny Mota. But that particular situation is not upon us, so I won't. Anyway, Pedro Bourbon, here he is, comes on in the 8th inning and faces Joe Youngblood, 37. Triple on a 16 is a double. Lee Mazzilli, 44 of Bourbon, bounces to third. This is Hebner, a 40-19. He makes the play there. Achilles heel of the Marlins is their bad defense. Pete Rose, 410, skies it in the center. Now we got Benitez there as a 1 in center field, and yeah. Steve Henderson, 1-5 is a strikeout. 12-3, bottom of the 8th. Let's spread the talent around for the Mets relievers. We'll have Jeff Reardon come on in the 8th. Don't know why they didn't hold on to this guy. He ended up going to the Expos, won a World Series with the Twins, I believe. Anyway, bottom of the 8th inning, it's Benitez to lead it off. 1-8, triple on a 6, double is a triple. Montanez, 1-7, double on a 19 is a double. It is now 13-3 as the Mets are down a touchdown and a field goal at this point. Pedro Guerrero, 69, but rolls to second. Runner goes to third with 1 out for Hebner. 48, single on a 6, gets the single and the RBI. 14-3, made the extra point. Mario Guerrero, 2-6, double on a 10 is a double. Second and third, still 1 out. Nothing can slow these Marlins down. Craig Reynolds, 62, ball 4. What a joke of a game. 14-3, bases are still loaded with 1 out. Playing back for 1 flap down, penitentiary face, whatever you want to say. Bounces to short A. Finally, the inning is over. 14-3 Marlins, and Bourbon will finish this one. Tim McCarver, 35's a walk. Claudel, 37, double on a 2 is a single. Runners on the corners for Larvell Blanks, 2-4 short, and filled up short C there. Second and third, 1 out. Eel, 210 center, be question mark, no need to run when you're down 11. And Jerry Remy, 38 is a grounder to short, and there's your game. Florida Marlins, the proud Marlins, they would not be swept 3 straight by the lowly Mets. And the home team has won all 3 games of this series. If the Marlins can win Game 4 at home, I don't think Game 5 will matter too much. They'll probably still get into the playoffs, as we saw the Giants falter and how the other teams are. I believe the Marlins could be safe with 1 more win in this series, regardless of what happens if there is a Game 5. So, that home field advantage is really helping the Marlins, makes their defense a little bit better. Bourbon in 2 innings, a hit, a walk, 2 hits, a walk, and a K. Inning and 2/3 from Myrick. Faced McCarver. He did very well, just struck out a batter. Fernroll does get the win. Walked too many guys though. 5 hits, 3 runs, all earned. Walked 9. Unbelievable game. He walks 9 guys in 5 1/3. And Mets had a really legitimate chance in this game. Reardon, rather disappointing performance in the 8th, putting 4 guys on, 2 runs and a walk. Pat Zachary, a scoreless inning, baby steps for him. Hitting a strikeout, 3 innings for Hamilton, 3 hits, 2 runs, 1 walk, and 2 Ks. And our boy Gary Serum, not long for the Mets rotation, probably be gone by the end of the year. In 3 innings, did give up the 10 hits, did give up the 10 runs. And unfortunately, not many of these are unearned. We have an error in the 3rd inning. So it looks like we have 8 earned runs, 2 walks, and a strikeout. 1-9, 0-1-08, 14-18, 3-7. 10-3, 4-4-4, 10-3. Let's do the box here and get to know the Marlins statistically a little better as what is going right for them and what is going wrong for the Mets. I think Pete Rose is actually having a pretty good year for the Mets, so don't blame him. I believe that the Mets would have been very happy to have Pete Rose for a little bit of his career if he was willing. Kind of see the fit there, at least in the short term. So let's take a peek here at the overall standings. The Marlins are now 17-13, doing very well, hitting .290 as a club. The strength of their team, 3.82 ERA isn't that bad. And it is, believe it or not, folks, it is Vern Rule, who has made 6 starts and won them all. And look at the rest of the rotation of Florida. 3-3, 2-4, 2-3. But it has been Vern Rule 6-0, and the bullpen is 4-3. And so, yeah. But Vern Rule statistically has gotten plenty of support. He's got a 3.91 ERA, nothing special there, but he's 6-0. You have Bostock with 44 hits, 133 at-bats to lead the club. Really just steady hitting throughout the lineup for Florida. For the Mets, that is their 17th loss of the year, 11-17 now, hitting .255 with a 4.87 ERA. How that fell that far so quickly is kind of sad. So Craig Swann got promoted to Seaver's old role in the rotation. He's doing okay, 4-4, but his ERA isn't that bad. 23 runs in 60 innings is pretty good, about 3.5. Jerry Kuzma's had a disappointing year, ERA of 4.5. This Gary Serum character that you just saw pitch has been horrible. ERA above 9 or 10. And Tom Hausman, he was a relief starter for them during the whole late 70s. His ERA is around 4.5. Dave Hamilton, and Pat Zachary, by the way, he's okay in the bullpen role instead of the starter role. I'm sure the Mets were hoping he'd be the starter, but best we could muster is some relief work. 11-17. Year to date now for the Fall League. Look at that, 420 games, hitting .269 with a 4.12 ERA. That's right in the sweet spot for this era. Not too much hitting, not too much pitching, just sort of under .270, under .415. That's what you're looking for in this era, particularly when guys like Manny Mota play a lot of more at-bats than they did on their strat cards. Him, Roger Freed, Broderick Perkins, George Brett, Rod Carew. We have at least five players in the carryover league hitting over .370. Which is insane. I mean, their Strat-O-Matic cards hit over .370. That's, of course, George Brett at .390. Well, let's do a mathematical order here. You got Roger Freed, .398, Manny Mota, .395, Brett, .390, Carew, .388, and Broderick Perkins, .370. Yeah. So it's amazing that the team league batting average is only .269. It could easily be .280 or higher if the rest of the league was keeping up. That's it for the video. We'll post the results of Game 4 and Game 5 if necessary. Hope you're enjoying the Fall League. Playoffs will be pretty soon, by January or so, and then you have the World Series, whatever the Fall League World Series is called, to be played around the Super Bowl weekend of 2022. Thanks for checking this all out. We'll see you next time. Well, folks, what a fun series this was to play. You saw Game 3 with the Marlins bombing the Mets. In Game 4, though, they did the same. It wasn't a bombing, actually. Rick Wise defeated Tom Hausman. The Mets maybe have outsmarted themselves in this game, knowing that Wise was susceptible to the long ball, put all their power hitters in, and took their defensive players out. And sure enough, it was the Marlins getting a bunch of cheap singles off of bad defensive players to cobble together 4 runs through 7 innings off Tom Hausman. Meanwhile, their bats were cold. They got 2 runs in the 7th, a little bit too late. And the Marlins win Game 4 at home. The home teams won all the games, which leads us to a pivotal Game 5, ultimately to help determine the National League East, back in Shea Stadium in New York. And who is it? It is the Mets, winning again at home with Craig Swann. A nice story for him, getting 8 innings of shutout ball. Pretty strange game where the designated hitters injured the opposing pitchers and knocking them out. Dennis Lamp and Craig Swann got knocked out. Buddy Schultz and Reardon complete the game in the 9th inning. The Mets had individual runs, 3-0. That meant that the home team won every game in the series. The Mets win 3-2. So at least they go out on a positive note, do the Mets, with their season over. We look at the stats now. So that meant that the Phillies picked up a half a game on the Marlins. And the Phillies will play the Braves in a best-of-5 to determine the National League East. If the Phillies win the series, they win the National League East. If the Braves win the series 3-2, the Marlins and Phillies would be tied. And the tiebreaker, they're also tied head-to-head. They split 10 games. So we'd have to have a tiebreaker to determine the division if the Braves beat the Phillies 3-2. If the Braves do better, sweeping the Phillies or winning 3-1, that would give the division to the Florida Marlins. Fun times in the National League East. I think you could say the Marlins, they are probably in the playoffs regardless, either as a wild card or division winner. We've seen what the Florida Marlins can do as a wild card or as an unlikely postseason participant with 2 World Championships in their resume. That's it today. Hope you're enjoying the Fall League. We'll see you next time.